Whether you're a top pick like Ekwonu, a late round pick, an agent, general manager, coach, or parent, the NFL draft experience is different for each participant. It can include attending the NFL Combine, playing in an all-star game, running drills at pro days and scouting reports, reading the endless mock drafts, and then the moment itself. Here's what the whole process looks like from the players, parents, general managers, an agent, and a head coach's perspective. The season starts. When the season begins in the fall, the draft process kicks into high gear, even for underclassmen who may need to make a decision about their future. NFL teams begin scouting players and agents begin courting them, though the process for players being considered for name, image, and likeness deals begins earlier. Dax Milne, Washington Commanders receiver and a 7th-round pick in 2021, explained how the NFL talk started to happen midway through his season. At first, it was just coaches on his team coming up to him to let him know he was grabbing the attention of a lot of scouts. Shortly after that, some agents were hitting his line. NFL agent Andy Ross also talked about how the NFL picks their agents because of NILs. Back in the day, it used to be November and December when you'd reach out to kids, but now you've got to start working for a kid 2 to 3 years earlier. Ross mentioned he met with a high schooler the other day and that he felt really good about him, but he'd still have to wait for 4 years, advising the kid with the hope that he turns into a player. Steve Mills, father of Houston, Texas QB Davis Mills, a 3rd-round pick in 2021, said he reached out to different people and got a couple of recommendations about agents, and also got help through the process at Stanford. They managed to get it down to 3 folks. All of them were interviewed. He met personally with 2 and talked with one of them on the phone. The All-Star Games in late January. Here, players get one last chance to prove their NFL worthiness. For footballers such as the first Division III player to participate in the Senior Bowl, former Tampa Bay guard Ali Marpet, this exposure is essential. Ross, who was Marpet's agent, told the 29-year-old football guard that he needed to be a dominant alpha dog out there and block through the whistle. In the 5 weeks they had to prepare, Ross brought in a bunch of former defensive linemen who played in the league and explained that he wanted Marpet to get beat while practicing in order to see how he'd respond if he went against an SEC player. Alexander Ali Marpet absolutely dominated, and that's what helped him get drafted higher. NFL Combine in late February. The NFL Combine is one of the most hyped events of the NFL offseason. It's a chance for players to display what sets them apart and for teams to interview them and conduct medical tests. Footballers recalled their experiences trying to prove themselves and their skills. 22-year-old Dax Milne said that in the quick drills, he scratched a couple times, because of which he got tired and didn't get the best numbers, but it was still a good experience, and after the Combine, he kept hearing that what mattered was his film. Ikem Ekwonu said he wanted to show off his football knowledge a little bit and wanted the teams to feel confident that he could pick up material quickly. The American footballer said he wanted to show them he was more than just brute strength, so every time he got a question, the 21-year-old would start to over-explain and include every detail. Pro days from mid-March to mid-April. The following step in the process involves players working out at their schools in front of NFL team officials. The head coach and general manager don't attend every pro day, but when they do, they pay close attention to everything, from how players interact with one another to how other teams react. Agents must sometimes work relationships to get players into local pro days, which are held at NFL team facilities. Washington Commanders coach Ron Rivera said that at one pro day, one player would run back every time he'd be done with the drill, after which another guy at another position would finish the drill and walk across the line, and at that point, you'd have concerns. This is lying season. It's like playing poker. Some head coaches get animated in front of a player or two, others quietly nod and tap each other subtly so that they don't want to be seen pointing at that guy. Then you watch them with the others and they're suddenly just as demonstrative, and you realize that it's all a smokescreen. Meeting the players. Bean said he asks everyone who comes in contact with a player, from the person who picked him up at the airport to the lunch staff, how they were treated, and that's what sold them on quarterback Josh Allen. The football executive talked about how he watched Allen without the player knowing, but he saw how respectful he was to the staff. Little things like that tell you a lot about a person's character. Whether he was talking to the hostess or someone waiting on us, it was always with a thank you and a please. Everyone knew who he was, but he wasn't taking advantage of that and walking in there all high and mighty. Allen also mentioned that a team psychologist is consulted about each player and asked about their thoughts on them. This gives him more insight on something he might have missed. If the psychologist notices something, say a nervous tic or a giveaway at the mention of a certain topic, they get back to Bean on it, and he has them do a follow-up Zoom with the players to dig more if they don't have the answers. Other news: Raiders trade Bryan Edwards to Falcons. Bryan Edwards showed enough promise in 2021 to pique the interest of other NFL teams, and the Raiders were happy to take the call. According to NFL Network's Tom Pelissero, Las Vegas is trading Edwards and a 2023 7th-round draft pick to the Atlanta Falcons in exchange for a 2023 5th-round pick. Later that day, the teams officially announced the agreement. The Raiders selected Edwards in the 3rd round of the 2020 draft in the hopes of adding a larger frame to Las Vegas's receiving core, but he didn't see many opportunities as a rookie. This changed in 2021 when the Raiders released receiver Henry Ruggs and were forced to look further down the depth chart for targets not intended for Hunter Renfrow or Darren Waller. Edwards, who caught 34 of 59 targets for 571 yards and 3 touchdowns in 16 games, was a good fit. Edwards and fellow Raider Zay Jones had relative breakout seasons in 2021, finishing 3rd and 4th in receiving yards among all Raiders with 81 receptions, over 1,100 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Jones's performance earned him a 3-year, $24 million contract extension with the Jacksonville Jaguars, while Edwards' performance prompted the Falcons to call new Raiders general manager Dave Ziegler with an offer. Of course, Edwards was not a Ziegler draft pick, having been chosen by former general manager Mike Mayock in 2020. As is often the case, a regime change and the interest of another team resulted in a deal that could help Edwards shine in his new city. On the depth chart, Atlanta has plenty of room. The Falcons used a 1st-round pick on USC receiver Drake London and returned Olamide Zaccheaus, but only Auden Tate, Damiere Byrd, and Cotterell Hodge remain. Edwards can certainly compete for Tate's spot and, at the very least, provide quality depth in an offense that is still in need of more talent. Jerry Jeudy arrested on charges of criminal tampering. The Arapahoe County Sheriff's Department arrested Denver Broncos wide receiver Jerry Jeudy on Thursday and charged him with 2nd-degree criminal tampering with a domestic violence enhancer, a misdemeanor. Jeudy was released on a $1,500 personal recognizance bond after appearing in Arapahoe County Court Friday morning. According to his attorney, Harvey Steinberg, he was released with full contact allowed between him and the woman involved. The judge stated that there was no probable cause to believe that any physical force was threatened or used against the victim. On the team dealing with the arrest, Hackett stated that they must have the appropriate resources so that everyone is at ease. They must gather all relevant information and carry it out correctly. Jeudy, 23, was selected by the Broncos in the 1st round of the 2020 NFL Draft. He missed 6 games due to an ankle injury last season and finished with 38 receptions for 467 yards and no touchdowns. On Wednesday, he expressed confidence that quarterback Russell Wilson's arrival would mean a much better season for him. That's a wrap for this video. With all this insight into the NFL drafting process, did you learn something new? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.